Personally, I wouldn't have obsessed over him in the T20I side right now. I think it would have been fine to have him in the Test and ODI side, and you had enough options in the T20 side. But like I said, I don't see any downside in him being in the team. And so he's already a three format batsman because his numbers, his record in ODI cricket is phenomenal. He There was one question mark on Gill overseas and tough conditions before this England series. He's passed that with flying colours. And now, as far as T20 cricket goes, I think this year's IPL told us a lot about the in sort of just the level of Gill's game. The challenge right now for Indian cricket is: do you want to push a young batter to have to adjust between formats, which is a really, really difficult thing? Maybe it will come easier to him than it did to some of his predecessors because that generation of batters, the Virat Kohlis and the Rohit Sharmas, grew up with a very different psychology of batting. Preserve your wicket, don't, stay out till the end. Whereas now you have a lot more players who play the T20 brand in the way it should be played, which is not necessarily care about your own wicket, etc. But yeah, you have to now suddenly look at Gill playing the Asia Cup, the final of which is on the 30th, I think, and then the second or 29th, and then the 2nd of October is the start of the West Indies Test. So, what is the vision for Shubman Gill? Can he actually continue to adjust from one format to the next? Only Gill will give us the answer. There is no downside to picking him, in my opinion, because you also want to find a balance to the kind of batting lineup you have. If you play Sharma and Samson and Tilak and Surya, there will come a day where you will be 30 for 3 in the power play, right? And India have had those days. And that 30 for 3 will not be in a bilateral like it was against England. It will be in a World Cup semi-final, in a World Cup final. On those days, or maybe even in a chase, or on a day when the pitch is not as easy or true, you want a batter who has flexibility and versatility. Gill cannot be an anchor who can anchor at 120, but he can certainly be a versatile enough batter who can go at 160, 180, when needed, and drop down and still sort of manage to play 140, 150 if he loses wickets. That is the kind of batter that I think India allow for Abhishek Sharma, Tilak, Surya, everybody else to continue playing the way they do. So Gill now has to live up to that expectation and reputation, because the minute he starts regressing into what we saw for KL Rahul at times or a Kohli at times, there's no room to hide anymore. So this is now the challenge for Gill, but I think he'll be fine because I saw him play that way at the start of the IPL, where he went ultra aggressive, and he then changed his game because of the structure of the Gujarat Titans side. So I don't have any problem in Gill being picked to play all the formats. But I think if Gill struggles as a batter, is only something Gill will tell us in time. Then he has to make a call on whether he wants to play all three formats or not, or if he sees one format affected because of the other, like we saw with the KL Rahul in the past. You know, how he adjusts from one format to the next is a challenge now that he has to answer upon. Personally, I wouldn't have obsessed over him in the T20I side right now. I think it would have been fine to have him in the Test and ODI side, and you had enough options in the T20 side. But like I said, I don't see any downside in him being in the team, and the selectors clearly have a vision for him. That Surya Kumar Yadav, at some point, he's now approaching mid 30s. At some point, they have to have a succession plan in place, and they think Gill at least is in the best position to succeed. His form has to carry on for him to be the successor. Otherwise, he won't.